Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and today we're gonna be checking out the Masters of the Universe Origins, Prince Adam, and the Sky Sled. That is right, this very first wave of Origins action figures also comes with a vehicle, which is pretty fantastic that we're getting these right out the gate, because the vehicles, as well as the playsets, were such a big part of the original Masters of the Universe toy line. So I love seeing some of these classic vehicles get some love. Now, instead of getting the full battle ram, which is what the Sky Sled is from, we're just getting the front half, which is called the Sky Sled, which I get. They used the Sky Sled quite a bit in the Filmation animated series. It was like a regular vehicle that was used, and they can get this out at a lower price point rather than the full battle ram. Still hoping we get a full battle ram at some point, but we'll probably just have to see how Origins goes. So first things first, we got to talk about this box, because what's so cool about this is Mattel is once again harnessing that power of the vintage toy line with even the larger boxes here. This window box is very reminiscent of what the old vehicles would have come inside of back in the 1980s, complete with some gorgeous new artwork that you can see all around the packaging. It is awesome. I mean, like, look, over here on the side of the window, we've got like Tila doing battle with some unnamed guy who looks like he's from a Remco toy line or something. I love it. And then up here at the top, I mean, we've got Skeletor and the Roton doing battle with He-Man, or Prince Adam as it is, on the Sky Sled. But look, like, we got all these characters on Sky Sleds and the Wind Raiders up there with Man-at-Arms. It is so amazing. Really, really cool stuff. The only downside to this overall packaging is this big old bend that I have in the top, which is due to Walmart's wonderful shipping from their online service, which has been an ongoing problem with all of their stuff, which really sucks. So buyer beware if you're going to buy stuff off of Walmart's website. But, you know, this is a Walmart exclusive at the moment, and this did pop up for sale pretty quickly online, which is how people have already grabbed it. It's how I came into having one here for this review, but hopefully they will be showing up in stores in larger numbers so that we don't have to rely on this shipping here, because yikes, it's crazy. But man, look at this. All of these painted details, as far as like the artwork goes, is so cool. Because we got like Castle Grayskull up here, and there's Merman and Stratos and some unnamed red guy. I don't even know who that is, but I love it. Like, it's the kind of thing where, like, as a kid, I would love staring at the artwork on the packages because it told such a story, and you would just like look at every little detail, and you can do that with this new artwork. And I think that is so very cool. So flipping it around to the back side, there at the top, just like on the back of the card backs, we've got some awesome artwork there with Prince Adam on the Sky Sled. He doesn't need He-Man. He's just going to ram right into Skeletor with that Sky Sled. Also, that's totally a battle armor Skeletor. That's pretty cool. And then down below that, we've got the cross cell. Again, very reminiscent of the vintage packaging, showing all these figures, and even shows you some of the swappability we've got with this. Basically, we've got the ability to change it from a heroic Sky Sled to a evil Sky Sled, which is pretty cool. So let's get this thing out of the box and let's get a closer look at it. All right, so let's go ahead and kick things off with a look at the included Prince Adam action figure. So bringing in the tape measure here, you can see that the figure does stand right at that 5.5 inch mark that the Origins line is standing at, because of course it is based upon that vintage Masters of the Universe toy line. So they're going for kind of that same style with the shorter 5.5 inch bodies, with the squat builds, just with some added modern articulation. So even though we've got fully articulated knees and stuff, you'll notice that the legs are still kind of in that squat pose, just like the vintage figures. So these are essentially supposed to look like the original He-Man toys, just slightly updated for today's toy market. And this is actually the second Prince Adam that we've already received in the Origins line, because the Comic-Con exclusive last year gave us that comic-styled Prince Adam. So he was wearing the blue vest like the old mini comics. This one is much more inspired by the Prince Adam that we got in that vintage toy line, which in turn was inspired by the Adam we saw in the cartoon series. This time around, Adam is wearing a plastic vest. It is a softer, more pliable plastic, but it is not cloth like like the vintage toy, it's also much more of a brighter pink color like the cartoon counterpart instead of the darker magenta color of the vintage toy. But he is still wearing those bright purple tights for his legs. He's got the darker purple for the furry underpants as well as the boots there. And then he's got the painted on white shirt, complete with the wrist bracers that are painted over in white, just like on the vintage toy. So you can definitely see the heavy inspiration from the original Prince Adam action figure. So the articulation, of course, functions exactly the same as the other figures we've already seen. It's essentially the exact same body as He-Man's there. So ball joint on the head, ball-like joints at the shoulders. The arms can go outwards, forwards, and backwards. Nothing at the biceps. Swivels at the elbow, bends at the elbow, swivels and hinges at the wrist. You can turn the waist there. You got the hinges at the thighs. You can see kind of the ball joints in there. Legs can go outwards, forwards, backwards. You got swivels at the knee, bends at the knee, swivels at the boot, and then you've got the ankle articulation, which just goes up and down. So the articulation does feel nice and tight on this guy. And it is worth noting that just like on the other figures in this line, he does feature all of those interchangeable parts on his body. So you can actually pop the head off at the ball joint. You can pop the arms out at the socket. You can pull the wrists out of, you can pull the hands out of the wrist joint there. You can remove the torso and you can remove the boots from the legs. So there is some cool mix and match options here. They can swap parts with any of the other Origins figures. And it is worth noting, in case anybody is wondering, you can remove the pink vest for Adam. It's pliable. So the only thing you'll need to do is pull the arms off and the torso off, and you'll basically need to slide this down over the body there in order to get it off. It's a little tough to stretch it back on, but it is doable, so you can take that off if that's something you want to do, especially for all of the customizers out there. So I do want to go ahead and just bring He-Man over real quick. This is the retail release version of He-Man, standing alongside Prince Adam. It does appear that the faces are the same on these two. Maybe the eyebrows are painted a little nicer on Adam, just a little bit, but for the most part, they look the same. The hair might be a little bit darker yellow on Adam. It's a little brighter yellow on He-Man, but I did also notice that the skin tone is the same between He-Man and Adam. Usually Adam's kind of got like a more pale skin. In fact, the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive version did have more pale skin. So that's really interesting to look at there. In fact, let's go ahead and do that quick comparison time just so you can see them standing side by side to see the difference between our two Origins Prince Adam figures so far. And then, of course, the one accessory that Adam comes with is a pink version of the Sword of Power. And what's interesting to note about this is that it's the same sword that was with that San Diego exclusive set. That means instead of the half power sword, like our retail He-Man came with, we actually have the full power sword. So I think that's a positive. But the downside is we've got that thicker handle. You can see they made the handle smaller for the retail release. And so, unfortunately, just like with the Comic-Con version, he has a tendency to easily drop the sword out of his hand because the handle's a little too big for him to hold on to it. So it's like, we got a positive on the one hand because I do really prefer the whole sword to the half sword, but the handle's just a little bit too big on this guy. But it's also pink, which again is taking cues from the original Prince Adam action figures. So all in all, it's still a really nice figure and definitely exactly what I would expect out of Prince Adam in the Origins lineup. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Sky Sled now. If I bring in the tape measure here, first of all, you can see that this measures just shy of a full 8 inches long from the tip all the way to the back of the engines here, and then it's about 5 inches tall, a little shorter than that. So it is perfectly sized for the 5.5-inch Origins figures. And I'm going to compare it to the other versions of the Sky Sled that have been released in just a bit, but I do want to focus on the overall details of this first of all. I will say that it feels nice. It's not too light or too hollow feeling. It actually does have some solid feel to it. It's got a little bit of weight to it, which feels really nice. I feel like a lot of vehicles and toy lines these days feel really cheap almost, like because they're made of really lightweight hollow plastic. And this doesn't really give me that feel. It is light, and it definitely feels like something that kids could easily fly around and bash around and everything, and it would be safe, but it definitely feels sturdy, which I really like about this. It is worth noting that it does appear to be all molded just in the solid color. There's really not a lot of paint deco going on here. We've got this kind of bluish color that it's molded in, and then the guns and everything are molded in like a silver plastic there. These guns on the side are a bit softer. You can see they're a little pliable, but it doesn't feel bad or cheap or anything like that. And then the design on the side there is certainly inspired by that alligator-like design seen on the original battle ram from in the 80s, and it is a sticker. It's already on there. We don't have to put the sticker on. So it's not a sculpted detail. It's just a sticker on the side. Turning around to the back, you can see we've got like the control panel up here. And again, it's all sculpted and everything, but we just have the one sticker here that kind of shows us the screen. So there's not a lot of extra painted details, but all in all, it's a really nice sculpt. It definitely makes it feel like that original Sky Sled. You can really see, the cool little griffin head here on the top is a very reminiscent of that original one. I also really like this. You got the big laser cannon on the front. It's articulated. Look at that. You can actually move that around from side to side. I was not expecting that. I thought that was really, really cool. Now, of course, if you remember in the original line, as well as in Masters of the Universe Classics, the Sky Sled is actually part of a bigger vehicle called the Battle Ram. I don't know if Mattel is planning to release the back half to eventually attach this to, but I did think it was really interesting that we've got these little molded in notches here, because on the other versions of the Sky Sled, this is like the part that clips on to that back battle ram. Now, I don't know if this is a design choice, just to kind of like make that part of the design, or if that is there with the intention to eventually have something to not click this onto. I guess time will tell on there, but I thought that was really interesting and definitely worth bringing up. Now, there's some other real fun things with this Sky Sled that Mattel included that are kind of new to the Sky Sled overall. First of all, we've got a flight stand, and I think this is really, really cool. So it is just kind of like a hollowed out piece of plastic that looks like a sandy ground or a dirty ground. And then you got a nice clear stand with a blue peg, and this will plug right there into the bottom. Clicks in nice and solid, and makes it so that we can now have our Sky Sled up in the air, and it's articulated. Look at that. So you can kind of flex that around however you want it. It seems sturdy enough to keep the thing standing, as well as having a figure on the back as well, which I do really, really like. And then we've got some interchangeability with this thing as well, because the Sky Sled was something that was used by both the Heroic Warriors and the Evil Warriors. And in the original cartoon, we even had like an evil version for the head on here. And we even got that version in Classics, but this one is interchangeable. Look at this. You can actually pop that griffin type head off, and we can replace it with the serpent head. But going a step further, you can actually remove the side panels that have those alligator type stickers, and we can replace the side panels with these brand new pterodactyl or dragon looking side pieces. Look at this. So it totally changes up the look, makes it for your villains, and it's exactly why this is totally going to be an army builder type vehicle. I can see collectors wanting to buy multiples of these so that they can have heroic ones and evil ones just all throughout their collection. So hopefully these are readily available, because that is a really cool feature. I think that is so neat. And aside from all of the cool interchangeable pieces, one more thing that this new Sky Sled comes with is a blast effect. It's not, I wish it was a little more translucent, but it's like a shiny red plastic, and it just plugs right there into the cannon on the front. It's a nice snug fit. And check that out. We got this really cool like laser blast effect firing out of the front of the Sky Sled. That is pretty cool. Blast effects is something that we haven't always seen a lot of with Masters of the Universe figures. We've had a couple here and there in the past, but I love stuff like this because that's really cool, especially for like diorama displays and stuff like that. So just a really fun little extra addition with this one. Okay, we're going to put some figures on it in just a second, but before we get to that, I want to do comparison time. So this is the Masters of the Universe Classics Battle Ram, the whole thing. Just wanted to bring that in to kind of show you. I'm going to pull off the Sky Sled here from the front. But I also want to do this because if anybody is curious at all what the new one looks like with the Masters Classics Battle Ram here, this is the Origins one. It's worth noting that it doesn't fit. You can't plug that in. It's almost the same size, but you can tell that this part is a lot smaller than the Classics ones, which I'm going to show you here in just a second. But you cannot connect those, so it does not go together. They are different molds. All right, so over here on the left, we've got the Masters of the Universe Classics one from a few years ago. Over here, we got the brand new Origins one. You can see the size difference between the two. It's not a lot different, but it's the height is quite a bit different. I mean, you can see how much more like the control panel sits up over the control panel on the new Origins one. But again, this one was made for 7-inch figures. This one's made for 5.5-inch figures. So there definitely is a difference there. Also, this is the difference between a plussed out collector one, that is more expensive and sold directly to collectors versus a mass retail release, because this one was like all the details were sculpted instead of stickers and they were fully painted. So you can really see the differences there. But it's cool to see them side by side to know that they are totally different from one another. They are not at all the same molds. And then we got, boom, the vintage Battle Ram. The Battle Ram, by the way, is my favorite Masters vehicle. It was my favorite one all the way back when I was a kid. So I hope we do get the full thing at some point in Origins. I would just love to see another version of it. But here's the vintage one compared to the new one. You can really see where they took all the inspiration from. Mine is not in the best shape. My stickers are peeling off and everything, but still gives you an idea of where all of those details came from. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and bring Prince Adam over here just to show you how he sits on this. So it's really nice because there are foot pegs down here, and you got the little foot pegs in the back of their feet, so they plug right on there. One of the other differences with Adam is that he's got 2 gripping hands. He-Man does not. So you can put He-Man on here still, but just note that just like on the vintage toy, he's going to have that one open hand over here on the left, not gripping onto the handle. But this is what it looks like when you've got a figure sitting on there. It's actually nice and solid. And then let me go ahead and bring over the flight stand just to show you guys. Look at that, the figure up here on the flight stand. This is really cool. I love it. And just because I can sense that this is a question that people are gonna ask, people are probably curious about this. Do the Masters of the Universe Classics figures fit on this new one? Well, they definitely look like giants next to it. And the other thing, too, is with the foot pegs, the peg holes were like in the middle of the foot on Classics, and these are like at the back of the foot for Origins. So the foot doesn't actually get onto that foot peg at all, which actually causes a bit of a problem. And getting them like to sit on this thing, I don't know, it doesn't work quite as good. You can probably make it work, but he does look pretty big on there. And since I did Classics He-Man, here's vintage Prince Adam. You can kind of sit him just on the back. That actually looks pretty good. Check that out. Sweet. So there you go, my friends. That is a look at the brand new Masters of the Universe Origins, Prince Adam, and the Sky Sled 2-pack. All in all, I really like this one. Like I said in the beginning, I'm happy that we're getting vehicles already in the line because the vehicles are a big part of Masters of the Universe. So this is a really nice start, and I hope that there's more of these in the future. It's a really fun toy. I think collectors can appreciate it. I also think kids might have a lot of fun with this one as well, just like with the original one, because I love that original Battle Ram, so really cool stuff. These are going to be showing up at Walmart stores very soon. I am led to believe that August is the actual official release date on this stuff. However, they have been popping in and out of stock pretty frequently on Walmart's website. They're a little hard to get. Plus, you got to worry about them wrecking your stuff and shipping, just so you know. But I do need to give a very special shout out to my good friend Carlos, because he's the reason that I got this set, because he was able to nab an extra one for me and hook me up. So shout out to Carlos. You can definitely check him out on Instagram at Charlie_5.5, or why don't you go and head on over to his Facebook fan group, MOTU Origins and Masters of the WWE Universe page, because everybody's talking Origins there. So thank you, Carlos, for the hookup, and thank you guys for watching this video. Until next time, my friends. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, my friends.